Okay, it being 7 o'clock, just a reminder that we're being recorded, and the cell phones being put on vibrate, we appreciate it. All right. Okay, Vice Chair,
Is that me tonight?
that's you tonight.
All right, it being 7 o'clock, the first order of business is old and new business, which is the approval of the prior meeting minutes. However, given the limited members here tonight, I believe we have a motion to postpone the approval of the meeting minutes from October 11th, November 8th, December 13th, and January 10th. Okay. So I'll make that motion.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye. All right, it being after 7 o'clock, the first order of business is the petition of Bedford Street Realty Trust, 166 Bedford Street. The Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 14, 2019, at 7 p.m. at the Abington Town Hall, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, on a petition of 166 Bedford Street Trust, 312 East Washington Street, Hanson, for a special permit and/or variance under 175-21A1, A1A, 2, 3, 4, to allow for a one-bedroom apartments on the second floor of an existing structure. Applicant is in the heating and air conditioning business and will use the first floor 1,800 square feet for his business. Each apartment will be a one-bedroom and contain approximately 900 square feet. The property is located on Assessor's Map 23, Lot 19, in the Highway Commercial Zone.
Okay, and planning board, building inspector, let's see, this is for the sewer department. The sewer department says this proposal located at Assessor's Map 23, Lot 19, is subject to system develop fees and must be paid prior to building permit sign-off.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm waiting for my client. I did just speak with him yesterday. I don't know if the board wishes to take another case while I wait for him, or I could proceed on his behalf.
Well, this is a first. What do you guys want to do as a board?
I don't care if we wait. Do you expect him, Ron?
Yeah, I fully expect him. He should
Okay, we could, is it something else?
Okay. Problem solved.
Okay, so, this is the third time we've heard this petition. And I guess we have it, you know, we have variance, special permit. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Just have this, which the board is well aware of, just to pass it down. You are correct. We have been here at least twice. I've been here 3 times, and this might be our 4th. And the issue is 166 Bedford Street. Mr. Davidson, you'll recall, is in the heating and air conditioning business. And he's purchased 166 Bedford Street and has the intention of going forward and running his business out of that property on the first floor. He employs how many people?
5 right now.
5 people. And he has previously worked out of a rented space in Hanson. In Whitman. He lives in Hanson. And so this was a great opportunity for him to have a business location. And it's highway commercial zone, and running his business out of that property appears from your bylaws to be an allowed use. So the issue that we came before the board with was the request to put 2 one-bedroom apartments on. We originally started with a proposal for 3 apartments, 2 one-bedroom and 1 two-bedroom, and we took away the 2-bedroom, and it now, as we come here before you tonight, is a proposal to put just 2 one-bedroom apartments upstairs, second floor. So the first floor, and I know we've had a lot of like back and forth and consternation as to what relief we should be asking for. Should it be a special permit? Should it be a variance? And we concluded, I think, most of us, at the last hearing, that it should be a variance. And on the basis of that, I was asked to go back and refile, which I did. But before I refiled, I went back and looked at your bylaws and tried to find what section of the bylaw I would be requesting a variance from. And so your table of uses, which I think I've given you my copy as well as 4 or 5 other copies, thank you. So I looked at the table of uses because in order to come before you asking for a variance, I have to find a section in the bylaw which would seemingly not allow Mr. Davidson to do what he is asking the board to do. And so I went back and forth through the bylaws, and I couldn't find a section that says he cannot put apartments there. All I could find was the table of uses, 175, attachment 1, and we look at the residential uses in highway commercial, and they're all by special permit. Almost all, except for cluster development and the conversion of an existing dwelling to accommodate not more than 3 families. A trailer park, a mobile home park, campgrounds, those aren't allowed. But a detached dwelling by special permit, accessory apartments by special permit, 1 2-family duplex by special permit, attached dwelling occupied by not more than 1 family, special permit, multi-unit dwelling, special permit. So I drafted the petition that you have before you tonight with a suggestion that it would be a special permit, back to a special permit. And I really think that after a thorough review of the bylaws, that is where we're at, is asking for a special permit. But again, I'm more than willing to be guided by the will of this board and what the thoughts are with respect to your board as to whether or not it should be a variance or a special permit. I think we were all, at the end of the hearing in December, kind of walking a tightrope between whether it should be a variance or a special permit. And I don't think the bylaws specifically address the issue of a business use with a couple of apartments ancillary to that.
Do you have Amy's response to this one? Did you print out Amy's response to this? Did you print out Amy's response from Amy? From Amy, from this one?
No.
Let's see. Oh, you have it? Okay. Did everyone get it?
I have it.
You do one?
Me? I don't see it, but, oh, yes.
Okay, all right.
This isn't the correct development, though. This is,
No, this isn't the
This is
one.
the one that's coming out.
We'll look
I think
for-
Amy's response was in a prior,
She sent an email.
did she send a new one today?
No, it was the
Couple
first
days
one.
ago, yeah.
Do we
Okay.
have the copy of the first one?
I thought the issue, correct me if I'm wrong, Marshall, was that you couldn't have an accessory, it came in as an accessory apartment, and her position was that under our bylaws, that would be limited to an in-law apartment. Okay. So, and that was the basis for the variance request.
Yes.
Do you have a copy of that email?
Do you have it, Rich?
I don't have a copy of the email from
From Amy? I have it.
Amy on that one.
Oh,
Do you
okay.
want to take over this one? Do you want?
Town council thinks it's a variance. Basically,
Yes.
she gave us an opinion that she believes that a variance is required here. Since the applicant is seeking 2 accessory apartments The principal use would be commercial use. Therefore, in my further opinion, the proposed project would be considered a mixed-use development, which is not provided for in the table of uses, and would therefore require a use variance from the zoning board of appeals. So that's her opinion.
I was not provided with a copy of that letter. I think that there was some discussion as to whether or not we should be provided with that.
Yeah. This is just, she just sent this one yesterday, Ron, so this is a new one. This is from,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is the new one that she gave us. So we're on the right track, it's a variance.
but based on her opinion,
Yes.
we should
that's a
be
variance.
operating.
Yeah, I mean, I would respectfully disagree. In order for me to be before you asking for a variance, I have to be asking for a variance from a particular section of your bylaw. And there is no particular section of your bylaw that I could point to, and I'd be happy to, again, delay action, although my client is gonna go berserk.
I'm just not sure if it
because-
doesn't, if there's nothing that says we can't, then I don't understand. If there's no rules that says no, then why is it a problem?
Yeah.
Our
yeah.
bylaw is an exclusionary bylaw. If it's not specifically mentioned, it's not allowed. That is one of the answers to your questions. If it doesn't say you can, you can't.
Then you can't
If
without,
it's not mentioned, you can't.
Does it say
And
that?
it doesn't mention,
Does it say
it
that in
doesn't.
the bylaw?
no. I learned this from council as
I've
well.
done zoning for years, and whenever I've sought a variance, I've sought a variance from a particular section of the bylaw.
You know what we really should do here is, and again, this is the third time we've been through this, maybe we should have town council come to the next meeting. Maybe we should continue this and have town councilor come to the meeting, and then she can, maybe this is,
Well, I think.
we really don't give out variances, we'll give you that right off the bat. Variance is something that you need to prove a hardship. I mean, the building is built. It's built, okay?
Yep.
So what is your hardship? It's built.
Well, it's my suggestion, quite honestly, I think I've been clear, but let me just restate it, that it's a special permit, because there's nothing in your bylaw that excludes and stops Mr. Davison from doing what he's asking to do, but everything in your bylaw suggests that in the highway commercial zone, a residential use should go by way of a special permit, because.
But I think
if you-
Amy there
if you
basically
read-
went down the whole thing that you put down here, from A1, 1A to 2 to 3 to 4 on 175-21. She said it doesn't apply. All this stuff that you put down here doesn't apply. Maybe it's time town council came,
Well, if the board would be,
because basically we're talking about a
Willing to-
variance, and there is no hardship. The building is built, so the building is built and you bought the property. Where is the hardship? She's saying it's a variance. I mean, we finally got to a point where we got the correct zone, and we know it's not a special
we got,
permit.
please. I initially filed on the basis that it was transitional commercial, and it had been just changed. And if you look at your map is not at all clear with respect to it being highway commercial. But in any event, if you look at your table of uses, it's insignificant whether it's transitional commercial or highway commercial.
Yeah, it has to be filed
So with
correctly.
all due respect, that was changed a long time ago, back in September when we initially filed.
Okay, but this is the third time. So, again, there was a zoning issue on the paperwork, and then there's not a special permit. And now the town lawyer is saying that it is a variance. So that's where we're at right now, because we're gonna listen to the town lawyer. I think maybe she should show up at the next meeting, and then maybe you guys could talk it out, because,
I think that's a great suggestion. if the
I
board
mean,
would be willing.
what we're looking at right now, there is no hardship. Thank you. There is no hardship. I mean, again, the property was bought, the building is up, there's no permits, there's no occupy, you cannot occupy the building.
Yeah, And keep in mind too, that this proposal, 166 Bedford Street, is next to a 12-unit apartment building.
understand where it is.
That this board, 3 years ago, gave multiple variances for, such that it could be constructed. It's on record.
3 years ago?
It's on, 3 years ago. Yeah, it's on record at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds, and it's in your records as well.
Okay.
But just to keep that in mind, because there is a 12-unit apartment building right next door. But I do
Just to
agree-
interrupt, not all members of this board are on that.
That's
board
correct.
at
I
that
understand it's
time when those
changed.
variances were given either, so.
I understand it's changed, yep. But I like your suggestion, and if you would be willing to do that, to have.
And that's if town council is willing to do it. I mean, this has just been going on long enough. I mean, something has to break here. Again, we're at right now a variance, okay, that's where we're at. And that is what our town lawyer is saying. And to get a variance, you need certain things, and one of them is a hardship, and, I don't know, what do you guys think? I don't want to go off talking here.
If they, I have no objection if you want to talk to
Come
town
back
council
and,
or
yeah.
whatever and see if you
That would make-
can work out.
Boss,
Even if
do
you
think that's a
can
good
consult
idea?
beforehand and sort of.
Yeah, so
I
the
mean-
town doesn't go to the expense of having town council sit here. I'd be more than happy if the board would allow me to talk to town council. I'd even meet him or her at her office.
Is that acceptable? I mean, do we?
I mean,
we haven't done that
it would
before?
have to be,
If we have a meeting, I suppose your town council could, give you a heads up as to what we discussed and
Exactly.
what we resolved, so, yeah.
Okay, now, we're gonna do something different too. I'm gonna put this into the meeting, okay? This is gonna be in the meeting, so,
Town council's opinion.
yes, and you can have a copy of it.
Thank you.
So that way there, you can look through all this, and you can see what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe you guys can work it out, because basically, this is really, go ahead,
I don't see the two of them interacting.
thank you. All right,
If you choose to allow this opinion to be entered into the record, and he's then entitled to it, and at the next meeting, he can propose whatever it is he chooses to propose
Okay.
with council here, and at that point, the decisions will be
that
made.
sounds much better, yeah. But, again, at this point, it's a variance, and that's where we're at. So
I think that now,
I
based
think
on,
the
based on
town-
town council's opinion, I think we have to go by what.
Right.
She's the one who's gonna defend you in court.
Yeah.
If it's denied, he appeals, and they go to court, she'll be the one.
And again, I may be wrong here, I may be
The decision.
totally wrong in this situation, but
Yeah, it's
You're
it's
following
it's
a
been
counsel's
going around,
advice.
it's
one
like,
of a kind situation, but
again, the building is built, this is what we're at. We have a building that's built. That's the situation we're in. You bought a building that's built, and now, here we are, so,
okay, well, again, I appreciate the courtesies, and we'll proceed on the basis that we'll be here for next month's meeting.
we have to check with town council too, though. I
We'll get-
hate to
We'll
put
provide you
her-
with a copy of her opinion.
We'll give you a copy of her opinion, and we don't usually do that, but, we're gonna do it tonight. And the bottom line is, we have to check with her first,
Yeah, certainly.
and have her come in here and explain.
Yeah. May I ask, your meeting for next month, did we have a date for that?
second Thursday.
14th?
March 14th.
Yeah, I'm going to be away. Can we plan on the April meeting?
April would be April 11th.
Okay.
Okay. And council, I'll just add that your latest application was filed in January 2019, so we've actually updated our table of uses in our bylaws as of October of 2018. So it doesn't impact the section that you're coming in under, but just for your own information, if you want to take a look. Okay,
Okay, thank you all.
thank you.
Do we want to?
You have to have a mutual
Yeah.
agreement
Oh, yeah,
to
yeah.
extend.
Vote on this, please.
Okay, do you want to file an extension?
Yes.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
an extension.
Yeah.
All right, so, an extension,
So you agree to an extension until,
we're gonna ask our town lawyer to come and explain to you what she sees. We're gonna give you a copy of this,
Thank you.
and then from there, you can use that, as, you know, and then, we'll see how it goes, because
Yeah,
at this point, we really like to get this, clear this off the table, one way or the other.
we would too.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
All right.
thank you.
So let's vote.
Sure,
The extension?
Yes, extension.
So make a
please,
motion
until
to-
the April meeting.
make a motion to allow the petitioner's request for extension until the April meeting, with the caveat that the petitioners agreed to toll any, what is it, the limitations period, yeah.
Are we okay on the one? Yeah, we are.
I'll second
On the
that.
time?
Well, he's agreed to, he's agreeing to toll the time
To
period,
extend.
correct, in the actual request?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a piece
Yeah,
of
yeah.
paper right there.
yeah, okay,
So you need to fill that out.
Continue to
Yeah.
April 11th.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So April 11th.
April 11th. Thank you.
And we're gonna vote on that?
yeah.
Yeah, I second it, Rich.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, hopefully we get this matter taken care of.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
gentlemen.
And of course, that's town councilor, we have to check with her too,
Yes.
okay? We're gonna have to check with town council, make sure she can make it too.
Yeah, yeah, sure. But my understanding from the board is that you do not wish me to contact town council.
No, that'd be a bad idea. I agree with the
I think,
building
yeah, we
inspector.
might just run into issues with
Yeah,
the open
but-
meeting law
yeah.
now, so.
Maybe you could leave it in her hands, whether or not she feels comfortable, and if she can't be here, she could talk to Attorney Whitney, and
I'll have an attorney here, A,
we'll have somebody else cover it. yeah.
right,
Mm.
okay. We'll work that out.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks again.
All right, thank you.
Oh, it's a main decision. Don't really come up fighting the judge.
We'll see.
So you vote me down,
Just
throw me out. Next.
It being after 7:05 PM, the Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 14, 2019, at 7:05 PM at Abington Town Offices, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, on a petition of Mark E. Rogers, 197 Vineyard Road, Abington, for a special permit to install a 34 by 40 concrete slab at the end of a paved parking area for a 33 by 30 two-car garage hobby shop at 197 Vineyard Road. The property is located on Assessor's Map 64, Lot 22, in the R30 zone.
This proposal located at assessment map 64, 22, appears to have no bearing on this action. And we do have a letter.
Yes. Do you want me to read that in? or-
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. All right. And the board received a letter from Kathleen B. Smith, 35 Beaver Lane, Abington, Mass. 02351, dated February 8, 2019, addressed to the town of Abington, to whom it may concern. I am writing in response to the notice of permit to build a two-car garage hobby shop at 197 Vineyard Road. The term hobby shop is at best vague. What will it be used for? Automotive repair, metal fabrication, or a machine shop? Question mark. How will the materials be stored? At present, there is one house, one garage, one shed, and one industrial storage container at the address near the property line. I would request that the site be reviewed by the Town of Abington officials to ensure these structures meet town bylaws and boundaries are clearly marked by a certified land surveyor. This will ensure that my property will not be infringed upon. We all know that once this building is in place, it is costly to correct errors. In regard to what type of hobby shop, will there be additional noise caused by the racing of automotive engines, exhaust fumes, or risk of fire or chemicals to the neighborhood? I've been a resident and homeowner at this address for 43 years and receive a tax abatement of $315 exemption, 17 WD widow. I am writing this letter because I work full-time and the commute can be long. I may be unable to attend this meeting depending on weather conditions. I want to express my concerns regarding the special permit for myself and my neighbors. This is a residential area. Sincerely, Kathleen B. Smith. It's copied to the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Board of Selectmen, and the Building Inspector.
How you doing, sir?
How are you? What's that address?
Who wrote it?
Yeah.
35 Beaver Lane.
35?
Yep.
Basically, I won't waste a lot of your time. I collect cars. I got 21 cars. 10 of them are registered in the state of Massachusetts. 8 of them here. in Abington. And I just got my excise tax just recently.
Oh,
I
geez.
paid it tomorrow. Basically, 10 of my cars are registered now. I've got 5 or maybe 7 of them here in my small garage. I need a bigger, when I say hobby shop, I don't, she's worried about me making noise. I live by myself. Believe me, I don't want anybody moving in. I don't want a wife. I don't want a girlfriend. I want more cars. You know, that's what it comes right down to. And as a hobby, I used to fix furniture. I don't do that anymore. But I still have the equipment. But it's just too frustrating. So right now I restore metal signs, mostly automotive. I'm doing a big Texaco one right now, and I just finished a Bonneville Soul Flats one of where I race one of my cars. None of my cars are loud. All of them are titled. All of them are insured. I met the criteria from day one. I didn't know I could put a car, I thought I could put a car out at the end of my driveway for sale. Mary Ann, is that her name?
Marion?
Marion informed me I can't do that. I haven't done that since. You know, I just assumed that I could, I guess. The hobby shop, basically, I build a car, one a year. It's not loud. I don't paint. I don't have any machine equipment. Anything you got in your garage, a little grinder, a welder. I don't, it's a hobby. I've got my first car that I bought when I was 17 in 1960. Still got it. I'm not one of those guys that buys and sells, buys and sells, buys and sells. I build one for myself, finish it. When it needs paint, I take it to Weymouth to a body shop, one of the guys in my club. I belong to 10 different clubs. Some of them hot rod clubs, most of them, because that's what kind of cars I build. I don't restore old Model Ts and stuff like that. Basically, I need a bigger garage. And I've got the room. I don't know if you people got all that information, but I got a fairly big lot. And this, I don't know if you people have that
Yep.
copy? Okay. I want to put the garage just about where it says Lot B. I've got,
So are you going for a 3-car garage or 2?
well, I think I want to make it a two
Because
doors.
on this picture it says 3.
Well, I talked with Mary Ann and Marshall one time, they thought it was too big. So I
So
went
is
down to 2 doors.
What is the basis? Do you know what the section you're requesting relief under, what's the basis for the special permit?
He's got 17526 garages we're talking about here, allows for up to 1 garage, maximum 3 cars at 875 square feet. And so he'd be, with this 33 by 33 garage he's talking about here, he's over by 214 feet. That would be a special permit as well, more than 1 garage, which is, so he'd be looking for a special permit from that as well.
Are we premature on this? I mean, is this an issue? He hasn't built a building yet, he's just looking for a slab, so wouldn't it become the issue under the special permit once he starts erecting the actual building?
Yes, but he's gonna want to
Correct.
get the special permit and then act on it. Putting the slab in would be acting on it. He doesn't want to put the slab in if he's not going to be able to
Get
put
the
a structure on it. And once he if he receives a special permit and he records it and he acts on it, then it's live.
Okay.
And then he'd be allowed to do that, but it's up to you guys to decide whether or not,
And is he okay on the distances?
well,
Yes.
it looks like he would be, however, this is a mortgage inspection plan not suitable for what he's using it for, but he and I would get into that if it was approved, as an addition, the pouring a non-frost protected slab of this size is not allowed as well in a freestanding structure, light frame construction with an eave height of not more than 10 feet, I want to say. 600 square feet. And, yeah, but this is way bigger than 600 square. This is 1,300 feet odd. And
Bigger than the house?
so this wouldn't,
Yes.
this wouldn't be allowed.
It is?
I bought a garage, a house.
No, it
came
says
with it.
it's bigger than the
The
house.
structure you're building, is it gonna be bigger than the house? How big is the, how many square feet is your house?
I don't know, small, 1 bedroom. Little teeny house. I'm telling you, I bought the property for the garage. I
Yeah.
could care less about the house.
The
So
existing
garage.
the existing garage, not the new
I'm a
garage.
car guy. We don't care about houses. We live anywhere.
But is he gonna have to come back once he starts actually building
Yeah.
this? For, I mean, with like a design of the house, I mean, the garage and what the specs are and all that? I mean-
Before he is going to get a permit for a foundation, I'm going to want to know what he wants to put on it, and I'm going to have to know how big it is and how it's going to be supported. And what he's proposing right here is pouring a slab, probably turned with a 12 inches on the bearing area, and that isn't allowed. But that doesn't affect whether or not you guys approve or deny something like this. If you approve it, he's going to be bringing it to me, and then I'm going to be saying, whoa, where are we going with this? And then we'll deal with the structural integrity of what's being proposed before he starts putting anything in the ground.
Can I clarify something?
But
The reason I applied for a foundation only first, because I have enough money to do that right now. I'm on fixed income. I'm 77. How long do I live? I mean, that's one thing, you know? I keep on buying more cars. You know, I think I'm gonna be the first guy that lives forever, you know? But if I got like 10 grand stashed for either another car, which I don't have any room for, or a
Being
foundation.
recorded, so we shouldn't be talking about money.
No, I'm telling you the truth.
All right.
And once Marshall told me exactly what I gotta do, like put in a full foundation, like I'm building a house, which is basically, he gave me all the zoning stuff, and I'd do that first, and I'd probably do the backfilling myself, I'd probably put the wire down, I'd probably do the concrete myself, and let it cure for probably the whole summer. Because I've got a CD that, with a lot of money in it, it's,
CD.
but, then it comes up next year, yeah, the end of this year. So that would be enough money to build the structure I want. I'm not trying to overbuild by any means, and I'm gonna make it fall into the neighborhood. This lady is completely wrong. She's never even probably heard one of my cars even start up, because not any of my cars are loud. We go cross-country in these cars, you know? This is not something you drive down to Dunkin' Donuts and just, wrap your pipes and stuff, you know? I'm a car guy. That's my only, if I can't do this, you'll never see me again. I don't care, you know, I should have looked into this before I bought the house. But the garages that were there are adequate. I keep all my cars inside. Right now, you go by my house, the only thing that's in my yard is my plow truck, because I got a long driveway. I bought a plow truck, because I'm never picking up a shovel again in my life, you know? Pretty much that's it. That's my story.
All right, guys, got anything?
Ms. Law?
Couple of questions. You have an existing garage, correct?
Yes,
How big is that garage?
33 by 33.
Okay, so this garage is going to be the same size as
What
that?
about the same size?
You have a storage shed also out in the back?
On the side,
How big is that?
8 foot wide, maybe, it might be 10. And it's the length of the building, 33.
But on your sketch here, you have, there's another storage box in the back, is there?
Yes.
And what is that?
Filled with pots. I moved.
What kind of structure is that?
A metal container. I moved from Hull with a 20,000 square foot house with a 28-car garage on the first floor. Now, I just couldn't afford it anymore. And so that container is filled to the brim with pots.
And then you have a separate, smaller shed as well?
I'm gonna tear that down at some point. The guy that I bought it from let me use that shed in the very beginning when he still owned, we hadn't passed papers yet. You know, we made a good deal.
Is everything, so Marshall, has there been an inspection of, is the buildings as they currently exist now, are those all up to zoning
They're
regulations?
pre-existing. They're assumed to have met code at the time. They were...
The storage pod, though? Isn't there a provision about?
A storage pod that he has out there is a container.
Which I got a permit for.
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
didn't suggest he didn't have a permit,
In Bagdad.
and the placement, there was discrepancy with regards to the look of, industrial look of a container
Right.
versus a shed from, shed, but we have nothing in the bylaws with regards to,
Oh, really?
you can use a container for that. There are some towns that do have that, because they don't want that industrial look, but we do not. But everything he's got is permitted, and,
I'm just looking at 17526D, doesn't that say that a pod can't be stored for more than a 12 consecutive month period? Not to exceed 17.
yeah, it's not a
cubic-
pod, I don't believe.
Okay.
Pods are specific to,
I
Pod
bought,
/ container.
I bought the container in November, and first, the minute the spring
That one?
came,
Oh, so he'd be
we painted
grandfathered
it. We painted it green to blend in.
in. Gotcha, okay.
But I think, that was put in there specifically so that kind of thing doesn't happen.
Okay, fair enough. No, I mean, the only issue that, I mean, as I've said, that I'm, part of what we're assessing in the granting the special permit is, I mean, is this building that you want to build sort of in keeping with the character of the neighborhood? And as it stands right now, it's just a slab, so it's sort of hard for us to, or at least for me, to sort of assess, you know, if those conditions are going to be met.
But to put in a slab, he's putting a slab there to build something, too.
Yeah.
To keep that in mind, too. But we are only talking about the slab right now.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, but, I mean, that being said, I think we have some people who want to address this in the
Oh,
audience, so,
definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
I'm
All
good
right,
for
so
the
you
time
guys are
being.
all set?
Yeah.
Right now.
All right, so I'm gonna open it up to the floor. If you want to speak, please stand up and your name and address. Hands first. Anybody want to speak on this matter? Sir? Oh,
Julie Gardner, I live at 6 Beaver Lane.
My name is John Keegan, I'm Julie's stepfather. I have a background in civil engineering, and I've reviewed the plans for her, and I see a bunch of things that have to be addressed here. We don't get to sit down like everybody else. Okay, so I'll stand here. Okay, number one.
Oh, you can sit down if you want. I just wanted you to stand up to it.
6 Beaver Lane.
6.
Number one, the plans that have been drawn
Yep.
are on mortgage surveys. They're not supposed to be used to come before a board for a special permit,
Yep.
which he has done. So, I mean, I don't understand how he meets the application requirements for the special permit that way. Secondly, he wants to put in a slab. Okay, it's a residential neighborhood now.
Right.
Okay? And then he's gonna build a garage that he's gonna use for automobiles that he builds. Okay. It's gonna have 2 doors on it from what I can tell. Okay? Cars can drive in, cars can drive out, cars can park in there. It's almost like it's a repair shop.
No, it's not.
Okay, sir,
How many
sir,
cars
just-
do you have?
sir.
21.
21 cars,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
We're not talking about one car or two cars, we're talking 21 cars.
They're not all here.
Huh? They could be at different times.
Don't be a shit.
Okay, we
Okay.
don't really need
Yeah.
arguing back and forth, okay? But you can, you can.
Aside
voice
Sir,
your opinion.
sir. Control your language, please. That's
There's
way out of
nothing
line.
shown on the plans to show the lot coverage.
Okay.
Now, again, it's a special permit. There's got to be some kind of mitigation to try to put something like this in a residential neighborhood. There's no landscaping shown, and the serious problem is going to be drainage on the site. How is it going to affect the drainage? Right now, he's proposing to put that slab in an area that's deep. I mean, it looks like it stores an enormous amount of stormwater. He's now going to change that. But of course, you can't tell from the plans because there's no topography. Okay?
Mhm.
And to come before a board and ask for a special permit to put a slab in and then put a building up is ridiculous. It doesn't meet any of the requirements for a special permit. I mean, he needs to show what kind of a building he's gonna put up, where he's gonna put it with a proper set of plans. See what's gonna happen with the stormwater. It sounds like he needs to hire an engineer and a surveyor to do the property. I'm not trying to say that, it's bad, but, the road to hell is paved with a lot of good intentions. There doesn't seem to be any assurances of he's gonna get to do what he says he's gonna do. And then if he sells the property, what's gonna happen? I mean, this is a residential neighborhood, an R30 neighborhood, okay? I mean, for somebody to say, I have a hobby to build cars, I think that's wonderful. One or two cars, there's an awful lot of cars here. Okay? So basically, in my opinion, I think you should let him withdraw without prejudice, and then have him come in with the proper plans and everything else so that the board can make a logical decision.
Okay. Are you all set?
Thank
I
you.
do appreciate your input. Thank you. Next. Sir?
Richard Curtin, 16 Beaver Lane. My front door looks right at his property where I think this building is going to go. The property does have a giant shed on it already with 3 garage doors. This is a 1-bedroom home in a residential R30 neighborhood, and you want 2 more. You want 5 bays in a residential neighborhood. It's not consistent with R30 zones. Neither is that god-awful container that's out in the backyard, but we've been discussing that. It's a big, ugly storage container that belongs on a ship, not in the backyard of an R30 neighborhood. Out front, there's a trailer that stays there all year. I don't think, is that a zoning violation to park a registered trailer out in front of the house and leave it there between the street and the house for everyone to see? It's not consistent. What he wants to do with the property is not consistent. He does make noise. I've heard grinders going out there in the driveway and everything else, and it's only gonna get worse.
Sir, we're gonna end this
Yeah, sir.
if you can't control yourself.
They have a right to their opinion, so you need to,
I don't do any work in the driveway.
Let him speak.
yes.
Of the satellite photo, if you want to see that, the original, the shed, in my opinion, is giant that he already has. It's bigger than a house. It has 3 garage doors on it. Like I said, then we get a storage container out back. It's ugly. It's a big steel storage container. I don't think anybody would say anything otherwise. If you can get by on zoning with it, I don't know how. It's a pod all day, all night. It's commercial and it's movable. And then the thing that's out front that just sits there, the trailer for everybody to see. So I think going forward, if anything else is allowed on the property, it's not going to be maintained correctly, and it's not going to be consistent with the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Sir?
Almost like a 47 people lane. What are the bylaws of this town with relation to how many garages a single residence is allowed?
That is.
One three-car garage, no bigger than 875 square feet,
Right.
without a special
Without a
permit.
special permit.
Without a special permit. And I'll echo Richard's comments about the C-band. It's out of character in the neighborhood. I mean, all of a sudden it showed up. I realized it got painted to blend in, but technically, it's an eyesore. And the garage that was originally there was a small one-car garage, and now it's a giant 2 or 3 car garage with an attachment on the side still. Because now you want to put another 3-car garage there? It just doesn't fit the tenor of the neighborhood. It's, I don't think you should be allowed to go forward.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? That's it? All right, so we're gonna close it to the floor, we're gonna bring it back to the board, okay? Anything else on this, guys, or?
I mean, I would just stand by my initial position that, I mean, if he wants to withdraw without prejudice at this point and come back with some concrete plans as to what is actually being proposed at this, especially given in light of the concerns raised by the neighbors, then, you know, we may have further discussions about this, but at this point, I'm not inclined to grant the petitioner's application. That's my position.
And,
I agree.
I agree too.
If you'd like to come back, if you'd like to put together a real set of plans, not something that you drew up on a piece of paper, but an actual person, you know.
There has to be
Engineer
professionally
who's
done
gonna-
engineer, that's what we're trying to say.
I see I'm wasting my time and your time.
All right, well, you can either withdraw without prejudice at this point, or
I don't know
request to
what that
withdraw without
means.
prejudice, or we're gonna vote on it, and we're gonna deny your application, at which
I don't
point you
know
can't
what that
represent.
means.
So if you'd like to withdraw it, you can withdraw it and
come
put together a real set of plans
Come
and come back.
Otherwise, you're gonna be
Otherwise, we can
barred.
go forward tonight and we'll take a vote one way or the
It
other.
would deny.
I'm done.
Okay, so
Okay.
let's vote on it.
Sure. I'll make a motion to deny the petition of Mark E. Rogers, 197 Vineyard Road, Abington, for a special permit to install a 34 by 40 concrete slab at the end of a paved parking area for a 33 by 33 two-car garage hobby shop at 197 Vineyard Street. The property is located on Assessor's Map 64, Lot 22, in the R30 zone.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
In the words of Joe MacArthur, I shall return.
See you in a couple of
Thank you,
years.
sir, have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Is it 2 years you can't lease them?
2 years. Was it 2 years?
Hmm?
You can't come back for 2 years, is it?
Unless it's substantially different.
Mr. Ryan.
Gentlemen.
Hello.
I want to apologize in advance if either Jim or I start coughing, we both have cold. My ears are blocked up, so if I ignore you, it's because I don't hear you. You want to read the...
Hold on
Oh,
one second.
okay.
Let me just- Give us 1 second.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
Valentine's Day, I don't need to rush home right now, I'm already in the dock.
You got your red sweater on. Like it.
All right, so what we got here? 430, 440 Central Ave. This proposal located assessment map 32, 33, lot 88K. Plus 1, needs approval by the Rockland Board of Sewer Commission prior to building permit sign off. Rockland.
Yes, that goes to
This is connected to the rock.
Oh, okay, all right. Very good.
You need to read the here, oh, you...
Yep. All right, the Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 14, 2019, at 7:10 PM at the town offices, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, on the petition of James Batson and Batson Realty Trust, 15 Wilbur Street, Abington, to enlarge a grandfathered lot with abutting land to create a 100-foot wide lot of 13,791 square feet and construct a 2-unit dwelling in the HC zone with variances under 175-29 for lot area, lot frontage, and lot width, and a special permit under 175-21A2 for residential use. The existing residence does not conform to setbacks, but the proposed new residence would conform to all setback regulations with more yard space at 430 and 440 Center Avenue. The property is located on Assessor's Map 3233, lots 88A1 in the HC zone.
Hey, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Negrelli, Chairman Negrelli. Sean Riley, 500 Washington Street, here with Mr. James Batson. We're here for the petition on 430 and 440 Brockton Avenue, which is Route 123 in Abington. As we were just alluding to, this is close to the Rockland line. It's across the street from Stop and Shop, essentially. Up and down this side of the road is a series of residential homes, single families and two families. You do have a copy of our plan that we've submitted, right? Yes, I can see it out there. James currently owns the house on 440 Center Avenue, which is a 50-foot wide lot. It's a Quonset hut. For those of you not familiar with what a Quonset hut is. I know, what's that?
Is this Army barracks like?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's Navy, from Quonset, Rhode Island. Shipped up here in the 40s and was basically installed here around 1945, according to the assessor's records. Jim's parents actually owned this house years ago, and Jim is now the current owner of the property at 440 Center Avenue. The lots were created in 1908, and I just wanted to, give you some information. Document your files. This is a copy of the 1908 plan. Small and hard to read, so I've blown it up on the second and third page.
You're looking at the second.
Just for your file. So this is a copy of the plan from, it's called Abington Manor, way back in the day. The second page, I blew it up so you can see that was from 1908, and the third page, I blew it up so you can see the specific area which the lots in question are located, lots 107 and lot 108 on the 1908 plan. As you can see, every lot in this area was 50 foot wide and 150 foot deep, which translates to 7,000 square feet. Since 1908, the state has taken part of Center Avenue, so now each of the lots in question are slightly less than 7,000 square feet, or if you combine them, as we're proposing, it would be 13,791 square feet if you combined the two lots, which were 107 and 108. Okay, just so we're acclimated. And as I said, the structure that's there has been there since 1945, which predates zoning. We've asked for a special permit in the highway commercial zone. For a one-family or a two-family, you require a special permit, whichever way you go. And again, this is a copy, an aerial version, aerial view of that immediate area photo, so you can kind of get a visual of it. You can see I put down the street address of each of the houses below the actual picture of the house, showing that from left to right we have a one-family, a two-family, the vacant lot at 430, the one-family at 440, a one-family which is actually a mobile home, a two-family, a two-family, a one-family, one family. So that whole stretch is 50-foot wide lots with one and two families. Jim has owned this property for over 30 years and is seeking, he's retired now. And for those who don't know Jim's been a lifelong resident of Abington. He would like to basically sell his property at the best value he can get for his retirement and for that of his wife. The lot next door, the vacant lot, is owned by the Batson Family Trust. The proposal is to try to, with your permission tonight, we would combine both lots to create a 100-foot wide lot with the 13,791 square feet. Again, we need a special permit to build the proposed two-family. The current building, the current house there, and you can see it on your plan, it shows the Quonset hut to be raised. The current building already violates frontage setbacks. It already violates side yard setbacks on both sides.
So the non-conforming lots, correct?
Right. So one thought was to, since it's a 1945 Quonset hut with not much value, what could we do to basically rebuild this structure, enlarge it, renovate it. Pretty much, unless we stayed in the exact same footprint, we could get a finding for that. But in reality, we would likely have to enlarge it to make it suitable or, for sale, which would require us to come and likely get variances. There's an argument that we're grandfathered and we don't need variances, but I think the town would probably push back and say we need a variance to make it any closer to the sidelines or the front lines than it is now. Similarly, on the vacant lot, if we were to try to build anything on that lot, you'd need variances. It's a 50-foot wide lot. The current zoning bylaw, the highway commercial zoning bylaw, requires that you have 25-foot setbacks on each side of the building. So you can do the math pretty quickly. It's impossible to build a building on the vacant lot without at least 2 variances, if not more. So after consulting with Jim for some time, we came up with a proposal to combine, the goal of zoning is to try to achieve more conformity and less nonconformity when we can. So our proposal to you is a proposal that will require less variances. Either, whatever we do here, we need a special permit, but it has less variances than anything else that we could propose. As this plan shows, the proposed building would be in conformity with the left side yard, in conformity with the right side yard, in conformity with the front yard, and conformity with the backyard. The frontage would be 100 feet. There is no other lot on this strip of the street with 100 feet of frontage. They're all 50 feet. And obviously, this would be double the size of every lot on this street with just under 14,000 square feet, the 13,791. I should tell you for the record also, it being a commercial zone, we have tried to sell this property for commercial development. And I can tell you, it's been at least 3 years now. And just for the record, demonstrate that a special permit would be warranted here, not only because everything around us is already 1 or 2 family, but this is just a copy of a letter we received from a potential commercial developer that says, "We have not been able to secure a commitment concerning matters that would be necessary for us to proceed with this transaction. We're therefore terminating this contract, instructing the title company to return the deposit money." This was a purchase and sale that we've been working on for commercial development for a number of months, and this was our termination notice saying that they could not make it work. Additionally, Mr. Batson also owns another lot at 410 Seventh Avenue, and we tried to get that developed commercially. And this is another copy from Attorney Chris DeMars, who is representing a proposed commercial developer for that lot. And this is a copy of his notice that after site evaluation and cost estimates for the project, the proposed structure and site work exceeded the budget, won't be able to move forward. So again, we've been trying to solicit and sell for commercial purposes, and it's just not a market there, especially because the lots are so small. More importantly, you would be building commercial property right between all of the residential users. So we feel that this proposal is the most benign proposal. It continues the residential 2-family, 1-family uses in this area of town. It creates much more green space than if we were to come to you with a proposal for a single family at 430 and a single family at 440. Those would also each require special permits. Those would also each require at least 2 variances each. So we think this proposal requires the least amount of zoning relief and would fit into the neighborhood. I know variances are something that you guys are concerned about. You're concerned about the hardships of what's unique to justify Mr. Batson's granting a variance or receiving a variance. So I put some of the things I've already mentioned in writing for you, just so I could add this to the list of exhibits. And if I can just kind of, well, first of all, does anyone have any questions about the special permit issue?
No,
okay. Regarding hardship and the need for variances here, I hate to read this to you, but for the general public at home and all, the existing house at 440 Center Avenue, which is from 1945, violates both front yard and side yard setbacks. It sits on a 50-foot wide lot with approximately 9,969 square feet. The current highway commercial zoning regulations require 125 feet of frontage and lot width and 20,000 square feet of lot area. A proposed renovation of the existing house on this 50-foot wide lot would require finding at a minimum and variances for any new nonconformities which would likely occur. The abutting vacant lot at 430 Center Avenue would require variances for any type of building, because the lot size at 430 Center Avenue is also only 50 feet wide, and the highway commercial zone requires 25-foot yard setbacks on both sides, thus leaving no available building space on the lot without variances. Obviously, it's a hardship. However, the proposed two-unit dwelling, to be constructed on a combined lot would conform to front yard, rear yard, and both side yard setbacks. The frontage and lot width dimensions would increase to 100 feet, and the total lot area would increase to 13,791 square feet. Variances have been required to approve, are required to approve the 100-foot yard frontage in the lot width and the 13,791 square foot lot area. The resulting lot would be double the size of all adjoining and nearby lots fronting on Center Avenue, all of which already contain either a one-family or two-family dwellings. The shape of this lot was created in 1908. A copy of that plan was just submitted to you for the board. The locust lots and all other abutting lots in this area are all 50 feet wide lots. We are willing, if the zoning board approves the submitted plan, to accept a condition that the lots at 430 and 440 Center Ave must be conveyed into common ownership prior to construction in order to create a single 100-foot wide lot. The required frontage and lot width requirements in this highway commercial zone were actually 100 feet until the zoning amendment was approved last year to change them to 125 feet. So if we had done this last year, we wouldn't have needed the frontage or lot width variances. We cannot purchase any additional land to enlarge the frontage or the lot area beyond what the proposed plan shows, because all other abutting lots are already developed. Denying the requested variance in the pending application would leave Mr. Batts with no alternative than to submit new applications to enlarge the existing one-family at 440 Center Ave and to construct a new one-family at 430 Center Ave, and these applications would require more variances than the pending plan and application. The construction of separate single-family homes in each lot would cause a financial hardship to Mr. Batson, given that the construction of two foundations will cost more than the single proposed foundation, and the applicants need to pay for new plans, new zoning applications, and new filing fees. The grant of the requested variances will allow more green space in this area, which is presently lacking. It is unlikely that there would also be high demand to purchase a single-family home on Route 123 in the highway commercial zone across from Stop and Shop, thus depressing the sale value of single-family homes. Additionally, if single-family homes are constructed on the existing 50-foot wide lots, those houses would necessarily be very close to each other and to the abutting properties, with far less green space than the proposed two-unit building on the 100-foot wide lot. All of the above would create a financial hardship for the applicant. The proposed plan requires fewer variances, creates more green space, provides greater property values, will result in higher tax revenue for the town, and will simply result in a better finished product which is not constructed close to our existing neighbors. For that reason, and I'll be glad to go into detail with anything, we ask that you approve the requested variances for lot frontage, width, and area, and the special permit to allow the two-family in the highway commercial zone. Mr. Batts and I are willing to answer any questions, but wherever you'd like to go.
So Sean, it's my understanding the hardship has to relate to soil conditions, shape, or topography.
Yeah, and I'm talking...
Can you speak to that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you're asking for a special permit.
No, variance as well.
And variances.
The special permit for the use.
Special permits for the duplex, and then...
Oh, with the variance under,
Yep,
okay,
yep.
I just didn't, this wasn't checked off.
There was a question, and I should probably put this on there, is the question whether we actually need the variances, because the Quonset hut is a grandfathered lot. It's created in 1908, it's been in the same shape, and has a grandfathered house. In fact, I'd like to just file this. This is the assessor's record that shows from 1945, the building, which predates zoning. So the thought was, if we have a grandfathered lot, and the zoning bylaw is always intending to increase your, or decrease your nonconformity, that's where we came up with the idea of, well, we'll try to enlarge the nonconforming lot by conveying the vacant lot onto this property to make it a larger lot. So with the existing building, under Chapter 48, Section 6, you have certain grandfather protections as a one or two family, where you can enlarge, perhaps with a finding. So we were questioning whether, if we're going to basically increase the lot size, do we need a variance to do that? We applied for it in case we do. So the variance is to allow us to double the size of the lot, frankly, okay? The special permit Mr. Negrelli, to your point, is just to allow the two-family use in this part of town where there's one.
Right, because at this time, you can't go from a single family to a two-family, correct?
Correct, there's only a single family in it now, correct.
But by law, you can't go from a single family to a two-family, that's why you're here, right?
Correct. We could keep the existing the existing one family and have the other lot become.
Right, no, I see the plan, the plan is really
Yeah.
good, but the bottom line is that in this area, single-family home cannot be switched over to a two-family.
That's true everywhere, correct. And we need a special permit to build either a one-family or a two-family.
In the highway commercial.
Right, in the highway commercial.
What about my question, Sean?
Going back, the shape. As I mentioned earlier, the shape is the hardship in this issue as far as, because these lots were created in 1908. We didn't create this lot, it's not a self-created hardship. We have done what we can to try to achieve conformity by, as we've mentioned, we're volunteering to expand the size of this lot. We can't buy any other land. It is what it is. If we could get to 20,000, we would, but everything's developed around us. So it's impossible for us to achieve the 20,000 square feet. To essentially deny the variance for 20,000 square feet or deny the frontage is basically saying that the lot's unbuildable, or that you would rather us go back and try to get variances on both lots for two single-family houses.
Well, if you look at what the district's intent is, to primarily provide locations for businesses which cater to a traffic-oriented market or which need large expanses of land and would not be appropriate in compact general commercial. So the intent is for it to become businesses. So I guess when they devise this zone there, and what they're looking for is somewhere down the road for businesses to locate there.
I would agree with that, and that's why I submitted to you the copies of the documents that said we have used actual best efforts.
No, I understand
We
that.
would prefer to sell this property for commercial purposes.
I understand that, but it's,
And this was residential
I'm sure it was.
until Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop came in and then they changed the zone.
Yes.
Right. So you have all of these residential homes, and again, we actually, I'm looking for the copy of the contract, well, let's just say, the contract that we had with the commercial property would have been the highest value had that project been able to move forward, but it failed. We have been working on commercial development here for 3 or 4 years now, and it's simply just not there.
What's that?
They're all going to rock.
Yeah.
And the problem also is, that we tried to actually sell these 2 lots and Jim's other lot, and made not a partnership, but we had to convince the gentleman between us to sell at the same time. Because, as Andy, as you were just alluding to, trying to develop commercial property in this area with kind of larger lots and traffic and parking, you need to buy 4 or 5 of these houses to make it work. And it's just, hasn't happened since 1945, and we've been trying, and it's failed. So, if it's going to be residential, we would prefer, for his best value, to create something that conforms with your setbacks and creates more green space, because it would be a better value to sell and better looking for that area.
Yes, because this property now is kind of an eyesore, so it's Stop and Shop and the bank and Target, you know, you drive out, you look at it, it's kind of an eyesore, and this would clean it up.
I don't disagree with anything you've said. But, except for the fact that I'm not sure that the shape argument is.
Well,
It's a non-conforming lot, all those are non-conforming lots, correct?
Right.
Right. So that's just the history of it.
Right.
And any one of them.
The question is, do we allow you to?
Yeah, I understand, right.
The question is, do we allow you to take these 2 properties, put them together, and take the single-family part out of it and build, a multiple?
2 units, it's not a
2
multi-family, it's a 2-unit dwelling,
2 units.
of which there already are existing 2-unit dwellings in this area.
On the property, yeah?
I'm sorry?
On the property now.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's one vacant and one with a house on it, correct?
But every house left and right of that is all two families.
One way or another, the Quonset pretty much has to come down.
Yes, yeah, I saw. Does it leak? Someone live in it?
No, they moved out about a year ago.
What's the
I had it
footprint, what's the
under agreement.
footprint on the Quonset hut, do you know?
The Quonset is, I think that is about I actually looked at the width of all of the different buildings.
Yeah.
For example, the corner lot is, the building's 22 foot wide. The next lot coming in is 21 foot wide. The Quonset hut, I think it's a little 16 or more. If I continue down, beyond us is to the right of it, is a mobile home that this gentleman owns. It's 18 foot wide, and it's, the other tricky part is the house that's to our left, as you can see in the aerial shot, and on our plan, is about 5 feet off the lot line. And then the mobile home to our right is also about 10 feet off the lot line. And then beyond that, you have a 25-foot wide home and a 25-foot wide home. Again, none of which currently conform to the 25-foot setbacks because it's impossible and they're all grandfathered.
And what are you proposing for the 2-unit dwelling? How many bedrooms in each?
2-bedroom units.
2-bedroom, okay.
We just think this is a better proposal with the fewest amount of variances needed. As I said, the special permit's needed if we did anything else anyhow. So this one also becomes just a much more attractive construction here at this area, instead of having row houses that are all 20 feet away from each other.
And then town council did weigh in with respect to the merger that'll take place in the 2 lots, and just noted that under our bylaws, a lot's defined by a single or continuous tract of land held in the same ownership throughout and defined by bounds and lot lines ascertained by recorded deed or plan. So would you be taking steps to record a plan which demonstrates the new combined lot?
I would assume that would be part of your decision were to approve this, that it would be subject to us combining the lots under common ownership before we could start construction.
Okay.
We don't have any objection to that. That's our desire, but we can't do that
Until we, yeah,
unless you approve it.
fair enough.
Marshall, you want to tell me a little bit?
If he combines the two, 430 and 440, the grandfathered rights that exist with 430, I think you forfeit.
Yeah.
And you don't pick up anything new with grandfathered rights with regards to 440. And you still are not going to meet, you are going to meet with your proposed proposal for the setbacks. However, you're still going to be short on lot square foot area, right?
Yes,
So
which is
there's
true of the
probably
existing
relief.
lots, too. Which is true of the existing lots.
Oh, true.
Right.
But
We just
I
get
don't think
closer
the
to,
grandfathering allows for that, so I think relief would have to be given for that as well.
which we've applied for the variances. I think that's probably the smarter way to go.
Yeah, I think,
We'd like the town's blessing. I think
and
this is a better end result, better project with fewer variances.
So given that there's nothing on 430 now, could you do anything with that?
there
Without
would-
a variance?
There
I mean-
would, probably not. I would have to ask council where it's grandfathered, but the applicant would be precluded from putting a structure on it because of the side yard variances in amongst themselves constitute the entire width of the lot, so there's nothing that could be put there. I have not been through that, but my guess is somebody has.
Okay.
I have done it before, but I had to put a boxcar ranch on it because of the setbacks to not have to seek relief. But in this case, that's not even possible. So I don't know the outcome, what that would possibly be. Maybe you do.
Like I say, excuse me, any commercial building needs a gazillion variances, because you don't have any grandfather rights with a commercial building.
Right.
The 1 or 2 family is kind of a confusing issue that would probably have to look at town council. But, as Marshall just said, with 25-foot setbacks, at least that is going to be required, most likely. There is an argument that it's grandfathered. Some people interpret, Section 48
Section 6.
Section 6 of Chapter 48 is one of the most poorly written parts of the zoning bylaw that creates the most litigation, and Marshall says that's why lawyers drafted it, so we have job security.
Yeah, billable hours.
There's an argument, if you read it one way, to say, if that's a grandfathered vacant lot, I can build a 1 or 2 family and ignore the setback regulations. Some people don't, you're right? Some people don't interpret it that way and say, you need to get what setbacks you need, which means variances on the left and right. We can try to conform with the others. You still don't have a 20,000 square foot lot with 125 feet of frontage. So we appreciate your support on this project because we think it's the best project with the lowest impact and also the fewest variances that would be required to move forward for Jim to officially retire.
So what I really think we have to
You wrestle
consider
with
here is,
hardship.
what they're doing here. They're gonna actually,
And did you open it to the floor?
excuse me?
Did you open it to the floor?
No.
I don't know. I didn't know if somebody wanted.
For what, did you want me to open it for?
No, I just wondered if somebody.
Okay. Again, it's taking a single-family home, merging 2 properties together, and building a 2-family. Okay?
I think in some, to Andy's point, I think in some way you're creating your own hardship, but there's no way to sort of not have, there's nothing really that could be done with this lot without, to your point, without some
I
form
agree
of-
with, I agree with
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
sometimes, I hate to, sometimes that happens, it's just, I've seen it where it happens.
Yeah, I mean,
What are you trying to say?
I'm trying to say, I need something more than just the fact that the lot size is small to say that's the shape of the lot and we need a variance. I think you need more
And the
than.
variances for what again?
variances for lot width and frontage, which used to be 100 feet.
And size.
And we just changed that to 125. This is interesting.
Right. So, and the lot area, right.
Right.
Whatever we do here, if you were to deny this, we'd have to come back to you and ask for more variances to build the 2
I
separate houses.
understand that, but again,
Do you want 2 single-family houses 20 feet or 15 feet away from each other and from neighbors with more variances?
But Sean, with all due respect, you'd be in the same position. You'd have the same argument on the variances.
Yeah,
What's gonna justify the variance for 2 versus 1? I don't know if that's gonna change.
Well, great, so that's a hardship, isn't it?
It may be a hardship.
But I
is
understand
the-
what you're
is the-
saying.
Is the hardship related to topography, soil
shape.
conditions, or shape?
The shape, it's a 50-foot wide lot that we
That's the
cannot.
size, that's not shape.
Sure it is, it's the shape of the lot.
It's the size of the lot.
No,
Well, I
no,
disagree.
you can have that feel. If you were to deny this, you're essentially, and we came back and asked for more variances, I'm not sure how you could grant more variances, because we're making the same exact argument that I can't fit a single family on this. If you were to deny that, you're basically saying this is non-buildable property.
but
You
these
could
are 2
rebuild this-
these are non-conforming,
Lots, right.
That's the problem. You're in a zone that requires certain things. and
Right.
You have to meet those things unless you can prove that,
You have a hardship and therefore need a variance.
but the hardship has to relate to soil conditions.
Or the shape of
topography,
the
or
lot.
shape. This is like any other lot on that whole strip. It's no different.
It is, and if you
It's not a
notice.
unique shape.
In every single building on this strip here, either obtained variances or was built before zoning. Because you cannot build on these lots without variances. So,
So maybe
I
what you
would
need to
submit to
do
you-
is change the zone.
no, I think that's what the zoning board of appeals is for, to say.
Not to hand out variances all the way down the line and totally just denigrate the whole area of zoning, which is supposed to be highway commercial.
Well, as Jim said, this was residential to begin with.
That's my point. Maybe the remedy is to go back and look at this whole area and rezone it to residential, which is what it is.
With all due respect, that's what an appeals board is for, is just so you don't go rezone sections, you can address specific issues. All of these lots that you see here are already built on. Nobody's selling, nobody's moving out. This Quonset hut is the oldest building there from 1945 in the vacant lot. So what does the town want to see here? We'd like to clean up the lot. If we take down the Quonset hut and build a single family. I think we can agree, it's not gonna be commercial. We have tried, I've submitted evidence to show that we have actually had contracts that had to be terminated on 2 occasions because commercial
I
investors. have
agree,
been-
it's
not a commercially
it shouldn't be
viable
zoned-
property.
back to my point, it should not be zoned commercial, it's all residential. To me, that's kind of crazy.
Right.
I'm not sure how that happened,
Which leads to
but-
the special permit, which would be hopefully granted. We can't build anything without variances here. So we're proposing something that has the fewest variances required. That, I would think, would be looked favorably by this board. If I were to come here and ask for 6 variances, and say, well, why don't you do this? You still need a special permit, Sean, if you want 2 one-families or if you want 1 two-family. You still need a special permit. So assuming that gets granted, then let's talk about how many variances you need. Well, if I said two one-families, I'm gonna need a lot more variances. If I do this, setbacks comply 100%. The neighbors, I think, are happier with this because there's more green space and we're moving buildings away from each other. If it's going to be residential in nature, then let's make it look as nice as possible. Let's not only increase the value of this property, but the abutting properties. I think this is a good net result, and one that you can justify a variance and the special permit for, and I've put a number of reasons why in writing to you.
Okay, all right, so, we done?
I'm awesome, yeah.
Okay, open it up to the floor, sir, your name?
Yeah, I'm Mike Jacobson, I own the trailer beside him.
Okay.
I live in Williamstown, I live here, and, you know, I've known Jimmy probably about 20 years, and I really don't have a problem. You know, and, I don't know how much more, frontage he needs. I mean,
25 feet.
he just needs 25 feet.
Which you don't have to give.
I don't have to.
Maybe that's the answer.
Everything has a price.
Hardship.
I don't think you got it.
Andy, I mean, I gotta have to respond to that point, you know, jokingly was saying, oh, we'd have to buy some more property. That's a financial hardship too, you know, to say, oh, and we're not gonna give you a variance unless you go out and buy, you know, another guy's house. That's financial hardship, the definition of it.
But you gotta remember too, that the zoning laws were changed just recently, recently. I'm pretty sure it was 100 feet, wasn't it, at one time?
It was 100 feet.
Yeah, now it's 125. The zoning board, the town voted on that, okay?
Right, and the
I was there,
20,000.
the town voted on changing that, so.
And the
So
whoops.
that is something that's right in front of us right now, so.
And the 20,000 square feet variance exists also before and after that amendment. That did not change.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? I'm sorry, you missed your flight.
Don't worry.
Oh,
Apologize.
I got a 5:30, it's okay.
5:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, God bless you. All right, bring it back to the board.
Have anything you want to say, Jimmy?
No, just I think it would just clean up the whole neighborhood there.
I agree, I mean, it's a great project, but the problem is, like I
And
said,
when I bought this property, it was residential, you know,
yeah.
and then there was never hearing on it or anything either, you know, they just changed it to highway commercial.
Well, I would have been to a town meeting at some point. So.
Yeah.
It's up to us, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what the better result will be other than this plan. To reject this plan,
I understand
Yeah.
that, but I mean, again, the bylaws have just been changed, I mean,
understood, but
and it reflects back to this project right here. I mean, this is what the town wanted.
I agree.
You know, I mean, we put everything aside, this is what the town wanted. And now we're being asked right now, not even a year later, to change that.
Now, they just built these houses, these 2 families, just what, 6 or 8 years ago?
Did I? Yeah.
Yes.
So
Those are the
there's,
ones on the right.
and that was when they had the 100-foot requirement, and were granted variances. I know you're not, it's, you know, not necessarily precedent setting, but the fact that the town changed it to 125, I mean, we still have, that's why we have the zoning board of appeals, to show the unique circumstances of Jim's property. It's difficult to say, you know, that this is not the best proposal for the town and for the neighbors. I think a denial of these variances only allows more congestion in this property and less property value, and I can see our abutter shaking his head.
I'm not against this at all.
Oh, I understand. But
yeah.
it's up to us to make the decision, so.
I think it
But
meets all the
there's certain
tenets.
standards we have to
Yes, that's right.
make sure are adhered to, and again, I just don't shape, I don't see the conditions, the soil conditions definitely, and you'll agree with that, right? This has nothing to do with soil conditions, it has nothing to do with topography.
Right? It's
You're
shaped.
saying the shape, but the shape, as I said, is like every other lot on that strip, it's no
From
different than
1908, right? And what can we do to make it comply? We can't, because you can't buy any other property that's all developed. Thus,
Well, you
it's a
can't.
hardship, therefore it
You
satisfies the
can
variance.
do other things. You could buy another piece of property. You could. And my thought is, that's probably what the intent was here when this zone went into effect, is for that portion of the town to be developed as commercial. Somebody comes in, just like they did with Stop and Shop and Target, and buys up all that property and makes it into a commercial
And again,
enterprise.
I've demonstrated that that's what we tried to do.
I understand that, but,
And it
and that's why I go back to maybe the planning board needs to take a look and say, maybe this side of the street should not be commercial.
Which is a 3-year process.
Yeah.
Do you want to make a proposal, or?
I'm not gonna make a motion to approve it. I don't think it meets the guideline, the standards of a variance.
Do you want to make any type of proposal?
Well, I don't know if Andrew wants to make it. Well, you can make a motion as well. I can make a
I like to
motion.
leave it to you guys, I do
All
all
right.
the talking, it is, my voice is killing me.
Well, I'd make a motion to,
Can I, sorry, Andy, before
Yeah.
you, I apologize. If you're inclined to deny the variances, I would ask if you may perhaps take a separate vote on the special permit. Because if you deny a special permit, you basically eliminate residential development on this property moving forward.
Well, for the 440, you would still have the right to raise that and
I
rebuild.
might have, well,
Right?
potentially, yes. The other lot, no.
But you're gonna but if you did that, if you combine them, would you lose your grandfather status on 440?
I still need a special permit to build a
build a
residential
resident-
use on that property.
On what property, which one are you
On
talking
the
about?
vacant lot.
440? Oh, the vacant lot.
Why, are you asking that in this?
Special permit, we're asking for a special permit to build a 1 or 2 family in highway commercial needs a special permit.
there's an existing,
How would
there's
that,
an
how would that
existing-
deny you,
there's an existing home on
right,
On one of the lots.
one of the lots.
how would that deny them from building on the other lot? They have to come forward anyway, right?
Because we're asking for a special permit on these properties, so if,
But you're asking, there's a special permit combined.
Yeah.
Combined,
Not
yes,
separate.
Not separate.
that's an interpretation.
Well, that's what you're asking for, right?
Let me ask you this, to avoid that issue, if you're inclined to deny these variances, which would just be extremely disappointing, I'd ask you to take that vote first, then we can discuss the special permit and perhaps talk about.
No, I think we should just do it as it's written out, as it always is. It's one,
It's up to you.
it's one post.
Okay, if you want to.
So I would make a motion to deny the request for a variance under 175-29 for lot area, lot frontage, and lot width.
Oh, on what property?
On his petition,
Yeah, you want to just, make sure you add on, in the whole property.
well, that's what the petition is, though, Rich, right?
You got it? Okay.
Oh, up above.
Yeah.
Petition of James Batson, Batson Realty Trust, 15 Wilbur Street, to enlarge a grandfathered lot. At 430 and 440 Center Ave, so I would to deny a variance under 175-29 for lot area, lot frontage, and lot width. Okay, we have a special permit for the next, we'll do 2 votes.
You want to do 2 votes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's my motion, at least, right
Okay.
for now, is to
All
deny
right,
the
and
variances.
is second? Second.
1 second.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Sorry, who seconded it?
Rich?
Rich, something.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
Then if we want to act on the special permit, I'm not sure how you can act on the special permit
separately?
separately
Right.
for 2 separate lots. It would still, because the proposal is one.
Well, then, to preserve his rights, I would ask that I be allowed to withdraw the special permit application now that the variances have been denied. Then there's no issue about whether he can reapply later with a different.
All in favor?
That's fine. I don't have a
Good
problem.
second, or-
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have to say it.
What? I make a motion to allow the petitioner to withdraw his permit, his petition for special permit under
No, this is the first time I've done this before, where,
A2.
where we have,
Severing it.
yes, I've never done that before.
Yes, you have.
I have? I have? Oh, yeah, I have, you're right, you are right. No, he is right, that's correct, you are right. Okay, go ahead, I'm so sorry. Sorry about it.
Did you get that, Nancy?
Okay, so.
A motion to allow the petitioner to withdraw his
Special permit.
special permit petition
Without prejudice.
without prejudice.
Okay, and who seconded?
I seconded that.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, and the vote to deny the variance, you seconded, and what was the vote?
Yay,
I was nay.
nay,
Two
Okay,
to one.
2 to 1.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. And I apologize, Mr. Flatt, I didn't know I
Don't worry about it.
You were there before you started.
Okay. Happy Valentine's Day.
Two.
Take care. All right. After 7:15 PM, the Town of Abington Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing on Thursday, February 14, 2019, at 7:15 PM at the Abington Town Offices, 500 Glenowitz Way, Abington, on the petition of Forston Drive Owner LLC, CO DSF Advisors, 950 Winter Street, Suite 4, 4300 Waltham, Mass. Waltham, Mass. Excuse me, for a waiver under 175-58.3 in order to expand the size of 4 signs currently located on and serving the property at 212 Bedford Street. The property is located on Assessor's Map 23, Lot 23 in the TC zone.
And no bearing on the storage. Anything else on this? Okay. Sorry you didn't make it back to Washington.
Don't worry about it.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Michael Spillane from Orsioni Rothenberg. I'm here on behalf of the owner and applicant, and with me is Bronwyn Hirschberger from the applicant. I don't know if anybody needs anything from the submittal. I do have additional color renderings of the proposed signage, if anybody would like one. The owner acquired what used to be known as Avana Abington at the end of October of last year. They've now renamed it Halsted Abington, and there's 4 pre-existing signs that are located on the premises already. Out by the main entrance, there's 2 sort of rock formations that have signs built into them, and there is a double-sided sign for the leasing office, and the applicant would like to install their logo, which, as you can see, is slightly longer than the 2 front signages, but then there's what amounts to a small triangular piece on the top or bottom to the left of the sign. It's 6 3/4 inches from above what's pre-existing there. And if you look at if you all have it, if you look at the 4th page in the rendering, the red outline is what's on the premises now. And obviously, their sign is superimposed over that, so you can see where there's some excess signage. And then further back, is the leasing office directional sign, which is double-sided. And again, it's about a 7-inch increase total, and then there's the pre-existing sign had a sort of an arch in the middle, and we're proposing to go about 8.5 inches above that. This is it's an application for a waiver under section 175-58-3 of the zoning bylaw. Overall, it's we feel it's a de minimis increase request. It will help modernize and make the complex look a little bit nicer. We think it'll also increase visibility for the residents, guests, and emergency vehicles. It's not an illuminated sign, other than, there's ground lights there that are pre-existing, and those will stay, but no neon, no anything that would be objectionable.
So it says 4 signs, correct?
Yes.
On the rocks?
There's two on the rocks, one
Okay.
on each of the rocks that are
Okay.
built into the rocks. And then,
Where are the other ones going?
it's the existing leasing office signage, and I don't know
They're on our
exactly where.
property.
They're on a.
Yeah, I just don't
property.
see one.
Yeah, do you have pictures of
Yeah.
those? Because we didn't get that
Right
in
here.
the package.
Yep.
What do you have there now?
It's a
signage?
sign, same thing,
Okay.
it's just a little bit smaller.
They're the same
Oh,
size, so it's this, so if you see the red outline is the pre-existing, so it, from, the length doesn't change.
The height does a little bit?
The height goes up, it's a total of, at the apex of the feature in the middle, it's an additional 8.26
And now,
inches.
is that a road behind it, or a parking area, or?
Yes, a
Yeah.
parking area and the drive aisle up to the
The only
multifamily.
thing I worry about is the height that people could see if they're trying to take a turn or something. Is that gonna be in the way at all?
No, it's on the side of the drive aisle. The drive
Because
aisle's
I don't really
here.
have like a,
A site
a
plan.
mapping, the site.
I thought we had a site plan.
Let's see.
So the drive aisle's right here. There's one sign here on the left side, and then there's wetlands on the side of that. And then on the other side, or the other leasing side, that's right by the clubhouse. So the only thing, nothing would be coming onto the sign.
I just wanna make sure that,
Yeah.
It's not going to obstruct
See
any.
left,
Where that sign is
right,
here.
that's what I wanna make sure.
Here, I can show you.
We do have there was a site plan
Okay, great.
in the submittal. She'll show you where that sign is located, just so you know.
One sign right here.
Could you mark them for us, please?
I think we're. Great, thank you.
What, those stones?
Meeting notice, right?
Or
The
those signs?
stones are here.
Okay.
They're at the main.
Oh, we did.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Did we get that? I don't, it's over here, okay, all right.
And the signs meet all regulations. Our signage company has gone through all of that as well.
So it's really not showing too much, but. So again, the only concern for me would be the height of that sign, and if people were taking a left or a right, it wouldn't be blocking their vision.
Here.
Let's see, right here, this is where the 2 signs are.
So it's on this,
And you're adding what?
inside here,
It's like 8 inches.
8 1/4.
but it's,
How to visualize. If,
so they were coming out here.
Well, this one looks like it's up against woods, right? So there's no issue
Yeah.
with this one, yeah.
Looks
it's
like
just-
you get, I mean, I'm just looking at this too, and I haven't been to the site, so I don't know, but it looks like the sign from where Bronwyn said it was, sits back so that if you're at the intersection, you know, waiting to go left, right, or straight, it's back here, almost.
So this one is up against.
That's it.
So these, as it stands now, these, how are these affixed in that if there was a concern about the sight line, could you move it back, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's
so
on
they're
our
not like-
property, so we could relocate it
Yeah.
if it's an issue.
Could lower
Okay.
it too, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you could lower
it could come lower on the,
You
on
know,
the
you know
side.
what would be a good idea is if you lowered it to the size it is now.
In other words, just
In the ground.
just approve the
Yeah.
size of the sign,
Yeah,
just,
because-
Bring it down
just
so
reduce
it's the
it
same.
so it's a little
Biggest
bit
thing
lower
is
to the
that
ground.
Right now, you have a circle here.
Yep.
And now you're bringing this up 8 inches.
Right.
And you don't want to block anybody's vision, especially on the one that's not up against the swamp,
Right,
if you will.
right.
So I think that it should make a proposal that it ends up the same height as the sign is now.
Yep. we
Does that
can
make
do
sense,
that.
guys?
The,
Makes sense?
there is a requirement with regards to, and I'm looking for it right now, between, don't block within 3 feet off the ground to 8 feet. You have to be able to see through when you're, and I can't remember how close to the intersection or the area where you're turning. And the existing sign is 3.5 inches, so
From the bottom.
from the ground to,
Ground.
yeah, from the ground to the top of the sign. Your sign is 3.5 inches, I think I remember from looking at it. But,
So we just want to make sure that you go by the bylaws on how high the.
175.
We'll have to submit these.
175, 58B.
B,
Right here.
B3.
yeah. The bottom of the sign, when any sign shall not be
So I think
lowered
that
than
we
the
should
awning
put that in the
canopy which is
proposal
attached.
of how high.
No, not that one.
It's 10 feet above the
That's the
ground.
Not that one.
That's
No,
already,
that's-
is
Next one down,
That's already
4.
in the bylaws, though, correct? So Marshall, would you go out and inspect this to ensure that it conforms with all other signs?
Yeah, actually, if you're concerned about that, you can just add that,
Condition that,
a condition that they come down and have the location and height of the sign approved by my office prior to installation.
okay, no problem with that? Okay,
All right.
okay, all right.
So just, the other thing that the waiver requires is that a literal enforcement of the provisions of this sign bylaw would involve hardship, financial or otherwise, to the applicant. So do you have just something that you can let us hang our hat on as far as,
Well,
Some
one
type
of
of a
the
hardship
things
that-
I
Well, this is a-
addressed is a visibility
A waiver.
concern.
It's just a waiver.
yeah, but that's what the waiver
To
language says.
reduce
We
the
have to
size
make that
any
finding.
more than what's there, and I think that, I don't know if they complied with the signage bylaw, but, previous to the change, but, you know, the idea is we want to make it visible for people driving by, especially out at the front. You know, and to reduce the signage or to reduce the size, I think would be a hardship both for residents, guests, emergency vehicles.
All right, open it to the floor, close it to the floor. Technically. How are we feeling on this one, guys?
Yeah, I don't have a problem, I mean, as, you know, as we discussed with the condition that, you know, it's inspected by the zoning enforcement officer and otherwise complies with all sign bylaws. Yeah, I agree.
You want to make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to allow the petition of For Synth Drive Owner LLC, CO DSF Advisors, 950 Winter Street, Suite 4300, Waltham, Mass. for a waiver under 175-58.3 in order to expand the size of 4 signs currently located on and serving the property at 212 Bedford Street, subject to the condition that the signs are inspected by the zoning enforcement officer and comply with all other sign bylaws.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It was worth it.
Very much,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
All right, good luck with that.
Thank you.
We finally voted on something tonight, didn't we?
I know.
We all got together and voted on something. Wow. Okay, good luck with everything.
Thanks.
Thank
It
you.
looks like a good improvement, though.
It will.
Okay, folks, now, we're not gonna be doing,
Make a motion to
well,
postpone
we
the...
gotta make sure we say that first.
Sure, make a motion to postpone the report of the subcommittee on filing instruction rules and regulations until the, that's the, is it prior to the special meeting on March 7th that we wanted to?
No, that's the work meeting, right?
Yeah, we're gonna have a work meeting at the next special meeting that we're having on the comprehensive
Before the
permit.
meeting.
Before the
Before that
meeting.
comprehensive permit meeting.
Before the meeting,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. And when is that meeting?
March 7th.
March 7th, so that'll be before, so our next regular meeting, we can hopefully have this ready to go. 14th.
Okay.
Or 11th, or whatever.
That might help the gentleman earlier.
14th. It was April 11th.
All right,
All
so,
right, so I'll make a motion to postpone the report of the subcommittee on filing instruction rules and regulations until the March 7th meeting.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Oh, wait, sorry, March
March
14th.
Oh,
March
March
14th, excuse me. Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Aye, second.
Second? Aye, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Press the button.
Can't find that.
That particular.
I remember it.